Get ready to fix your forehand in 5 steps. So firstly, let's cover the stance. There are 3 different stances that I want you to get used to and perfect to improve your forehand. They are the neutral stance. This is where you put your left foot forward and you transfer your body weight into the shot. This is the optimal position you can have to get the most power out of the shot, because you can transfer your body weight into it and you can rotate at the same time. The next one is for those slightly deeper balls. I want you to try and get into that semi-open stance. This is where the left foot is at 45-degree angle to the right foot. This still allows some body weight transfer, but also increases that shoulder rotation, because now the ball is a little bit deeper, but you still want to generate power. And then the last one is the open stance. This is where you get into that open stance position here, and then from here you're either gonna use the footwork to go through the ball, you can go up on the ball, but at all times you're rotating and hitting the shot. So getting used to hitting the shots from different stance is very important. Now, when we have the neutral stance, it's important that we move into the direction of the oncoming ball so that we can go forward afterwards. We're moving in an L shape where we go sideways first and then forward. This will ensure that we're not stretching for the ball and all of our body weight can go into the shot. Those semi-open stances, usually when the ball is hit a little bit deeper, we may not even be moving as much, or even if we are, we got around to it and now we're able to rotate. The wide balls is when you're on the stretch. The open stance gives you the best chance of maintaining body balance when you're stretching for the wide ball. From here, you want to hit the shot and be able to recover quickly. So play around with those stances. Are you able to use a neutral stance when you're rallying, even down the middle? Are you using the semi-open stance to generate a little bit more power? Are you using the open stance on those wide balls to maintain balance? Make sure you practice those in all your practice sessions to become confident at hitting a forehand. So now that we've got the perfect stance, now we need to focus on our unit turn. That shoulder turn is vital for generating power. It's important that you do this early. The moment you spot the ball coming to you, you want to start that rotation, keeping your head still, but the shoulders rotate around the body. Very often I see players thinking that the unit turn or the body turn is simply getting into this position. Yes, you're turned to the ball, but there's no separation between your hip and your shoulder. Whereas here, I get that separation first, I store the energy, I store the power, because I've recognized that the ball is going to my forehand, and now when I step, I've already got that power stored, ready to release into the shot. And this happens with all the stance, whether it's the semi-open and even the open. So the moment I start moving out into that forehand side, I'm moving while preparing, and that shoulder turn is helping me do that. Now, a good way to practice this is making sure that your left hand, your non-playing hand, is the one that takes your racket out. The swing starts with that left hand, where it carries the racket away from my body, giving me space here, but at the same time turning my shoulder. Guys, it doesn't look like you've subscribed to the channel yet. Make sure you do that right now. Press the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future lessons. Let's get back into it. A good way to practice this is putting your chin onto that left shoulder. If you've done it correctly, you'll be able to look at the ball while having that shoulder turn. So you're looking over that shoulder. Now, when you're hitting, you're now replacing the left shoulder with the right shoulder. So if you've done a complete 180 shoulder turn, you're going to be able to put your chin on the right shoulder. And in order to do that, you need to be able to release your hips. So make sure that you're not just standing like this with straight legs. Make sure you go onto that tiptoe with the back foot so that you're able to release the shoulder from the hip and finish in the correct way. By rotating fully, you're going to optimize your body for maximum power and control. Now, once you got confident at just simply turning, you can actually test yourself how good you are at putting that left hand out parallel to the baseline. A good way to practice this would be to have a ball in your hand prior to hitting, and as you hit the shot, you release the ball into that direction. So if the ball is going parallel to the baseline, you've done a good job. So it looks something like this. That preparation, I take the racket and the ball and I throw the ball out into that direction, which now gives me the space, it gives me the turn, and sets me up perfectly for the backswing of the stroke. So now that we've got the shoulder turn, it brings us to number 3, and that's the backswing. Your racket needs to be above the hand when you take that racket back. This allows you to have a relaxed arm as you go into contact. You don't want to be too low here. This also allows you to be able to handle a wide variety of balls. You can go for high balls, you can go for mid-height balls, and then you can go for those low balls as well. From here, you can either drop the racket, go to the ball, or lift your arm to hit the shot. What you don't want to do is to be here lagging behind, but then scooping up the ball. And this is where you transfer that stored energy from here, where you've set yourself up. This is your power position before you're releasing into the shot. And in this position, you want to make sure that the back of the racket is facing up. You don't want this going up, you want to see the back strings of your racket. Then from here, you're going to go forward with your butt cap this way. So I'm leading with the butt cap. This is what leads into the shot, stores the power in the racket. It allows me to have that leverage on the ball where this goes forward, now carries the lag, carries that racket head behind and into contact. Now the strings for this lag have to be closed. What you don't want to do is open them too early here. So on that take back, if you've opened up the racket, as you go forward, because your strings are already open, you're less likely to be able to generate topspin. From here, you want to go down with those strings and only feel like the racket is facing to the ball in this position. And to know that you've done this correctly, simply place a ball in the V of the racket here. And as you take the racket back here, notice how the ball remains in there. And as I go forward, it still remains in there. And only once I've gone past here, past my hip level, is now when the racket is allowing that ball to drop off. So you should have that ball rolling forward if you've done it correctly. If you're opening the racket too early, it'll be dropping behind you. You want to carry that ball forward so it only drops in front of you and continues going there. That means that you've maintained that closed racket face into contact. And that closed racket face ensures a solid contact at the ball. So if we're making contact here, if I've opened that racket up, I'm going to be doing this. Now you may think now if I'm closing the racket here, when I go to the ball, I'm going to hit the ball down into the court. And yes, if you simply went from high to the ball would go into the net. So the trajectory of that racket is going down first. Notice how it's still closed, it's still closed, it's still closed, it's still closed, it's still closed. And now at contact, notice how it's now flat against the contact of the ball. So at this point I can either rotate my wrist, I can hit more flat through the shot, but here the racket is actually facing to the ball. And because I've gone from underneath here, this is what creates that little bit of height, the ease of topspin, and gives you the ability to do a lot with the ball. Now, if you haven't done it correctly, and this is what I see a lot with players, is the moment it opens up too early, you'll only be able to get a flat hit at the ball. And because you're doing that, you're going to end up going across the ball quicker. It's going to be more difficult for you to extend the contact, and your accuracy is going to struggle. So make sure that you're closing off those strings, going forward into contact by dropping the racket below the ball. And here, the racket is not being dropped by my wrist. So I'm not dropping it this way. I'm dropping it with my whole arm here. So the whole arm is doing this. I'm reaching for the ball, and here it's in an open position. I haven't reached that position by dropping my wrist. And this is another misconception that some players have. They think, how am I going to generate topspin because I'm using my wrist? No, we're going to generate topspin by dropping the arm, and the wrist is going to be relaxed into contact. A good drill to practice this is to have two balls in your hand where you drop them in front, you go underneath the first one and you hit the second one. You won't be able to do it if your racket path is straight to the ball. So if you've gone from here to the ball, you won't be able to hit the second ball and miss the first. So you want to get underneath that ball with that locked back wrist, under the ball and into contact for the second ball, which ensures that you've done it correctly. And lastly, it's the follow through, the last part of the shot. If you've done your setup correctly, if you've turned your body, you've stored the energy, you've gone forward into contact, you should have a relaxed arm that carries that racket speed and racket momentum over and around your shoulders and allows your shoulders to rotate, which brings us back to that drill that we did where we put the chin on that left shoulder and then finish on the right shoulder. Now notice that my arm here, it's uninterrupted. During contact, what you don't want to do, and this is, we have a tendency to do this as players, is to tense up. We want to tense up to generate power, and this is the completely wrong way of thinking. You want to be feeling like the racket is doing the work for you, where you're throwing the racket out, you're allowing the racket to go, you're not slowing it down, and it's naturally going over your shoulder and across. A good drill to help you with that finish, and this will also give you a nice rhythm on the stroke, is to start catching the racket at the end. So as you hit the shot, you catch the racket and you release. You take the racket back, you catch the racket and release. Take it back, catch the racket and release. So at the end of the stroke, if you relax, you're able to let go of that racket. You're not holding it here. You're allowing the wrist to relax, and the racket head is going around your hand and over your shoulder, so you catch it in this way. Now, depending on your grip, your follow through may be different. Some players finish all the way around the back and never actually twirl the racket around like a Yannick Sinner. You may finish over the shoulder like this, like on this drill that we've just done, and with a nice high elbow, and this is a Dominic Thiem kind of forehand. You may finish a little bit lower if you have a more extreme grip, like a Nick Kyrgios, where he finishes up and across here, but at all times the racket travels uninterrupted into that finish position. So there we have it, guys. Now go and start ripping that forehand the next time you get out on court. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments below, and of course subscribe to the channel with a notification bell so you don't miss out on future lessons. Let's get improving in our next lesson.